Welcome everyone to another Focus Friday? Yeah, we're going to have some focus here today of Texas Rangers Daily. I brought out the Texas Rangers hat for the first time this year to make sure you know that me, Positive C, I am an actual fan. Trust me, guys. I don't have a lot of sports merch, but I do have my favorite team as they went to the World Series that year, 2023. We will be talking about one of the favorite pitchers from that year, Nathan Eovaldi, leading off, has a little bit of surgery going on. We'll be talking about that. The coaching staff, will there be more changes? Has Skip Schumacher fills out his staff? We'll talk about that. Josh Young was a major factor in why the Rangers were not successful this year, but he was a major factor in 2023 when they won the World Series. So we have to talk about him, and we'll dissect June 2025 here on Texas Rangers Daily. Again, if you enjoy the show, if you like what I'm doing, if you want to say bye-bye to Bobby Wilson for a lot longer, like, subscribe, and share the content. First, Nathan Eovaldi getting a sports hernia surgery. That is what the internet has told us. In late August, he was shut down with rotator cuff strain, but it turns out he was a little bit more hurt than that. The surgery should go well. Everything should be fine. He should be okay for the 2026 spring training. But again, this is just another injury to, tick on the maybe oft-injured career of Nathan Eovaldi. Nathan Eovaldi had a great year last year, and it is said that the plans are same thing as this year. Use him as one of your workhorses while he's available, while he's healthy. The issue is he going to be healthy? I think the Rangers really need to take a big look at making sure the pitching depth on the top end of the rotation is just as good as the bottom end. You need to make sure your 3 and 4 starters can step up to be a 1 and 2 at different points in time, because you're trusting DeGrom to have another healthy year, and you're asking Nathan Eovaldi, who has been hurt ever since he's become a Texas Ranger. But he is the heart and soul of that pitching staff, will not go away, and Nathan Eovaldi will be a huge part if the Rangers will be successful next year. And here's a picture of Nathan. If you get what Nathan looks like, here we go. Big Nate right over there, big nasty Nate. He was really good this year, just barely got under the minimum when it comes to like innings pitched to be able to go for the ERA titles and things like that. But had a tremendous year. Hopefully he will be able to rebound after the sports hernia surgery and make 2026 a good year. We're going to make this a good show. Again, it's a Focus Friday show. Moving right along. The coaching staff under Skip Schumacher might be a little different. As you know, Bobby Wilson just left. There could be a lot more changes going on. So I have a couple of the coaches that I think will stay, and I have an idea a couple of them will go as well. The one who's definitely going to stay is actually somebody who has a history with Skip Schumacher. He was on his coaching staff in Miami. It is Luis Ureta. He is the bench coach. I believe he will stay. There's no reason for him to leave. He was on Skip's staff. Bench coaches usually are lock and step with the manager. So if Skip and him had a good working relationship in Miami, there's no reason why that shouldn't continue going on this year. Mike Maddox, the picture right over there is Mike. Mike will definitely be staying. You cannot change this coaching staff around these pitchers after the best year of pitching that the Texas Rangers have ever seen. That would be a pure mistake by Skip. In fact, if the staff does change around the pitchers, that'll be the first thing that kind of gives me side eye towards whether Skip Schumacher really knows what he's doing or if he's a lot of hype. So yeah, definitely don't want to get rid of Mike, any of his assistants. You want to make sure to keep that consistent and keep that chemistry and keep that good feeling around the staff, especially with Eovaldi and DeGrom being veterans. Brett Boone. Here's a guy, Brett Boone, who I could see going either way. He wasn't somebody who was locked in with Boch, even though, a former player and very good friend of Boch. He wasn't just locked in with him. He was a guy that their organization brought in. The team definitely improved a little bit, but they also could have, took a step back, especially that last month of September. They took a real big step back in, at the plate. So I'm not too sure Brett is exactly the person that Skip is looking for. I personally would love Brett Boone here. I think Brett Boone would like to be here. I wouldn't if I was Brett, want to go learn a completely different new team in that position again. The only way I would leave this team is if I was going to be a managerial prospect. So yeah, Brett Boone as your hitting coach and those assistants, I think they should stay as well. Now here's where you're probably going to get a little change, at least in my view. Corey Ragsdale as your third base coach or your first base coach, defensive instructor. I think he's probably going to go. Even though the defense was very good this year, I think that Skip Schumacher, that and Tony Beasley, I think the base coaches, that's something that if I was a manager, I would want to go ahead and have my hand in. So yeah, that I think you'll be saying goodbye to a couple of favorites that have been around for a while in Tony Beasley and Corey Ragsdale. But I am not for sure on that. I really don't know what Skip Schumacher's plans are, but a scuttlebutt is he is a guy who has a vision for the way he wants to run his ball club. Speaking of running a ball club, and a vision, there was a vision for this player back in 2023 that he was going to be an all-star third baseman for years to come. So far, it has not represented that way. Josh Young this year had a downslide year, even though he had a career high in games. 131 games played this year, 14 home runs, 61 RBIs, 23 doubles, not terrible. He batted 251. Gosh, Lees, only a 294 on base percentage and a 390 slugging percentage. 684 OPS, not very good for the young man from Texas Tech. It was an odd season. If you go back and look at his numbers month by month, from April to June, he got better up until July, and then from July on, he got worse. It was absolutely crazy the way this year panned out for Josh Young. He never got his footing, never really had great at bats. There was a time where he was doing pretty well, and then it would slide back. This is where he would actually benefit the team the most with two outs and with runners in score position, which is a very important at-bat. 288 with a 738 OPS. That's very good. And he hit 299 with anyone on base in general. So when you needed Josh to come through at different points in times, he did. The only issue was the consistency level of Josh Young wasn't there throughout the whole year. That's why he only had 14 home runs when he probably could have had 24. That's why he only had 61 RBIs when he could have had 80. So, the consistency factor really needs to step up there for Josh Young. I think he gets one more year in this organization, and then they have to make their choice. In fact, I think by the All-Star break, if Josh Young hasn't shown the improvement and the ability that he had shown in 2023, I think he's gone. I think Josh Young will be on the trade market if he doesn't show that the ceiling is a lot higher than what it appeared this year. And finally, speaking of this year, again, it's a Focus Friday, folks. We're flying through it. Oh, again, let me remind you of something very, very important. Like, subscribe, and share, especially if you enjoy the show. Finally, we're going to talk about June. June of 2025 was a not very good month for the Texas Rangers. In fact, the month was the best example of 2 steps forward, 3 steps back when it comes to the whole year. They never won more than 4 games. They never lost more than 4 games. They were swept by Tampa Bay. They were swept by Kansas City in Arlington. And the sweep by Kansas City was absolutely awful. So coming out of 3 series with the Nationals, the Twins, and the White Sox, the Rangers were 500. They were 36-36. The team looked like they could be making that move to climb the mountain and get themselves above 500. Then they get swept by Kansas City, and they never recover. So think about that. It was a 3-game series against Kansas City. So they're 3 games under 500. Oh, excuse me. They were 500 for the rest of the month, and they end the month 41-44. The team hit 234. They slugged 376. There was an improvement from May, but still really, really bad. And if you want to look at some bright spots in the month, Evan Carter, Marcus Semien, and Josh Smith all hit over 300, all hit 3 to 4 home runs, but only Marcus Semien had more than 10 RBIs. Again, the offense showed life. They actually scored 16 runs twice in the month, but still, the inconsistency level of the entire lineup showed big time in the month, and it showed in the record as we were a 500. They the Rangers, sorry, bye, Bobby. The Rangers were a 500 squad the entire month, and the entire year basically, and just it fits. It really does fit the way that the season went. You can see that June was going to be what every month was possibly going to be for the Texas Rangers. The Grom was the biggest bright spot here as the last of my handy dandy notebook. My handy dandy notebook's basically done, guys. So the Grom was the biggest bright spot in the whole month. He only got 5 runs in the whole month. And again, Jacob was healthy most of the year. In fact, all of the year he was healthy. I think he only was skipped twice maybe in starts. So only giving up 5 runs in the entire month, probably 5 starts in that month. Just a great year for Jacob deGrom. June was an amazing month for him. Not an amazing month for the Rangers. Again, they ended it up 41 and 44. So when we tackle July, you will see a split there because of the All-Star break. And man, after the All-Star break, it looked really, really good for the Texas Rangers. And so I cannot wait to get to July so we can talk about that. Again, this has been a lot of fun, a Focus Friday. I hope you've enjoyed this version of Texas Rangers Daily with me, Chris, with a positive C. We're done for the week. Monday, we will have a lot more adventure for you, so stick around. Thank you to FanArch. Love you guys. Stay gold. Mono Pony Boy.